3, 2, 1. Welcome to the David the Dog Trainer podcast. Episode 2, what do you say, 18?
19.
19.
219.
Okay, so we're going to play this fun game of I sent Josh something the other day, and I don't remember what it was. And right before we started this, Josh was like, oh, hey, you sent me that thing. Oh, yeah. It was. And then I was like, wait, let's just start this. Because I don't want to like pre-prep myself for talking about whatever I was going to talk about.
Okay.
I don't want to overthink this.
Okay.
So what is it? What did I send you?
You sent me a comment that you got on how to manage a social with an aggressive dog. And the comment was, in my experience, Goldens don't seem to get corrections like other breeds, both dog and human corrections. Either they're too happy-go-lucky so they don't understand it, or they just don't get normal dog cues. May just be me, but that's what I've seen with them.
Okay. I think I remember why I sent this to you. I'm trying to wrap my head around, okay, what is it that I wanted to talk about with that? Okay.
Sure.
Guys, we just have to talk. We have to talk.
Need to talk. Heart to heart.
There's just this constant issue in the dog world right now where people are just assuming because they do something that they think is a correction that it is in fact a correction, right? Like I think we've gotten to this point, unfortunately, where we've gotten so slang heavy with like the words we use in the dog training industry that we've forgotten what the real thing is that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? So like I brought this comment up specifically because this is just like, and I don't know who this person is. I don't know if this is a trainer. I don't know if this is an owner. So who original poster, please don't, take this too personally. All the things that I'm about to say, obviously.
Okay.
But like the word correction at this point is thrown around so loosely that sometimes people are saying it when they just apply an aversive, right? Some people are saying it in place of quote unquote punishment, right? Some people are saying it in place of negative reinforcement. Some people are saying it in an umbrella term, meaning anything we do to alter dogs' behavior. So like any of the 4 quadrants of learning, right? Like I could correct a dog's behavior by food luring them and giving positive reinforcement when they make a mistake, right? Like this word has become so bastardized, I think is probably the right word to use, right? That I think we need to start challenging ourselves to maybe stop using so much of the slang or start being very clear about defining our terms when we say things, right? When we're talking trainer to trainer, right? When we're talking, like obviously there are some circumstances where with an owner, I have to slang things up a little bit, right? They don't care, right? As long as they're doing the right things, they don't necessarily need to understand it as deeply, right? But as a general, right, when I hear a comment like Goldens don't understand corrections like other dogs do, right? That is kind of like a big, like, I remember when I read that, I was just like, man, I was just like, how did we get here? Right? That doesn't even, like, if we really break that down, that doesn't even make sense, right? Because any definition of correction that we may use, right? If we had a specific, like if correction to this individual was referring to food lures and positive reinforcement, or correction to this person meant using punishment, or correction to this person meant using negative reinforcement, or punishment to this person meant whatever, right? Then we would think to ourselves, that's a ridiculous statement to say because that means that we're not applying that thing correctly, right? I'm assuming this person's talking about punishment because they meant from dogs or humans, meaning a dog gives a correction, when a dog gives a correction, what is it? It could be a combination of negative reinforcement or positive punishment, right? They're trying to apply pressure to get a dog to go away, right? They're trying to add a correction to stop a dog from doing something, right? And either of those things, if we were to say it doesn't work with that dog, all that would mean is that the contingency, right? Meaning is it predictable to the dog? Does the dog know what it's for? Does the dog know how to escape or avoid the sensation, right? That is what the contingency means, obviously. Or the intensity, right? So the motivation behind the correction at that point are just off, right? Meaning it's no longer, in the case of punishment, it's no longer punishment.
Yeah.
Right? I hate when people say, I punished my dog for this and it didn't work. Right? It's like, well, then what you did definitionally is not punishment. Right? What you did is missing a component of a clear contingency or a proper intensity that the dog wants to avoid. Right? That is it. Right? So this should highlight to people, the second we start saying, oh, this breed just doesn't get corrections like the other, we're not thinking strategically from the standpoint of like, how do we fix it? Right? Meaning what of those two things is off and how do I fix it? And we just start thinking, oh, maybe punishment doesn't work with that dog. Right? Which is, again, a ridiculous thing to say.
That is, yeah.
Like punishment works. It, by definition, decreases behavior. Right?
Yeah.
So fix the problem of why the punishment isn't working or why the random because at that point, if it's not punishment, you're just applying a random aversive that either doesn't have a contingency, meaning the dog has no clue how to avoid it, right? Or the dog is just not motivated by the aversive, therefore the aversive is just not that aversive to the dog, right? So we have to fix that problem. So I'm like talking in like kind of circles because it's like the premise of the statement is like so illogical, right? That I'm challenging people to just start looking at what do I actually mean when I say these things, right? Like, are you trying to say, okay, well, this dog corrected this other dog and the dog didn't listen to it, right? Yeah. Okay, well, like, what's the problem? In most cases, it's two things, right? In most cases, when you come to dog socialization, the reason why dogs' punishments won't work to the other dog is in many cases, the intensity of the aversive the dog is applying, so the snap, the growl, the bite, right, is not really that aversive to the other dog, right? That's one reason. Another reason is because a lot of times dogs won't, quote unquote, correct or punish the other dog until that behavior has happened so many times already that it's built up to this point where the dog can't tolerate it anymore. So meaning the contingency isn't clear, right? The dog only gets corrected or punished by the other dog one in every 20 times that they do the annoying thing that dog wants that dog to want to stop. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. So this is why dogs generally are not the best dog trainers. You could, socialization is great and there's so much that can be improved on from a social standpoint, but I don't rely on dogs to do training for me. Right? Because they're not going to be able to make sure intensity and contingency are always like in line with each other.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you're kind of like randomizing like, this isn't really working.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever. So that's why that tends to not happen. Right. And then with most humans, they correct for random shit. Right. Like, so too often, like the human is applying random aversives, right? They're not consistently doing it. They're trying to correct the dog by asking the dog to do other things, which is not, it's not punishment. Right. It's like, it's just, everything is unclear. Right. So I sent that comment for that reason of, we need to cool it with the slang a little bit because the slang is starting to get in the way of trainers actually figuring out what's wrong with their training, right? Why their training may or may not be working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's funny because that Ivan video is this in a different font, basically.
Which one?
The one where he was talking about the leash reactivity. Because there's like a blanket statement.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So you're saying like leash reactivity. Yeah, kind of, right? Yeah. Like in general, like we're using these like these broad terms, right? Like really correction. Like I know what I mean when I say it in any given context, but there are times you have to catch yourself as a trainer because it's like, does everybody else know what you mean in a given context, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's a big problem right now. Is there's just no like we're just not getting anywhere with it. Like it's not like, this is why there's so many problems, I feel like, in the dog training industry right now, particularly surrounding the use of aversives and punishment, is because we just think like, I'm applying a correction. It should just do something. The corrections just made my dog, right? Like the corrections made my dog worse, right? We talked about that one a gazillion times. We did a whole episode on like why balanced dog training made my dog worse when we got a comment from somebody that was talking about how they did balanced dog training with their dog and their dog's behavior got worse and they blamed it on the balanced dog training. It's like, guys, anything done poorly, right? Will make things worse. Positive reinforcement done poorly and ineffectively will make the dog's behavior worse. Not how you think of like, oh, we're reinforcing the aggression, but just through the lack of making any progress with stuff, right? The behavior will continue to get worse, right? Then you add all this frustration and stuff in by adding aversives in improperly. Of course, it's going to make things worse. I wrote down here, Tank follow-up, right? Talked a bunch of times about Tank the Rottweiler. Right. And we talked about, Tank, how he did a bunch of training elsewhere and, and how like he was still having like all these random reactivity issues and how he was still blowing up at other dogs and how he was redirecting on his owner and he bit his dad in the leg. And like, the dog had a bunch of obedience training on him, but like the reactivity, they couldn't get past the reactivity. Right. It's like, okay, well, Tank's been home a week now and Tank's fucking crushing it. He hasn't had any big explosions towards other dogs.
Let's go, Tank.
Not one since he's been home. Damn. Right. And what's the reason for it? They were trying to punish the dog. They were trying to correct the dog, but we had to fix the contingency of what they were correcting. Right? Of what they were punishing. Yeah. Right? And the intensity was there. They were working him super high on the e-collar, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But the contingency was all over the fucking place. They were doing this bullshit that trainers coach over and over again, which is correct the loading, correct the stare. Oh, he stared for 2 seconds as opposed to 3 seconds. Right? Yeah. So we're going to correct that. Like, guys, And if the former trainer of Tank is listening to me, like don't take this personally, right? Like, because again, I know you want to learn and you want to improve because this individual reached out to me asking some questions on Tank's process and stuff like that. But like, just ask yourself, like, how fucking ridiculous of an expectation is that, right? Is that I see trainers say this on social media all the time. It's like, oh, well, like, I saw when he stared at the other dog, and then you could see when he furrowed his brow, right? And that's where you need to correct. What? Right? Or he was looking at the other dog, but then it went to a glare. So that's where you need to correct, right? And, oh, well, he looked, but I only give him 3 seconds to look at another dog, and then I want his attention back on me. Guys, do you think there is any possible fucking probability that dog knows what they're getting corrected for?
No. Man, I'm confused.
Zero probability. This is what you're doing when you're trying to coach owners through correcting for the loading sequence in fucking behavioral modification. Right. This is exactly what you're doing, is you are creating these unpredictable, crazy, unclear criteria. You're trying to punish them with tons and tons of intensity. And what's happening is the really sensitive dogs will just shut down and behave, and sure, they won't be reacting, but it's not because they know what they're getting corrected for. They're just like, I'm not going to make any mistakes right now, right? Or the combative dogs that are not going to be so quick to shut down are going to, at a certain point, turn and say, fuck you, dude. Right. What the fuck are you doing? Why do you keep correcting me? Right? Like, I don't know how to win this game, right? They get all sketched out, and then they start getting frustrated and pissed off, and then what do? They start trying to bite you, right? True. This is why almost 100% of the time when I hear people talk about dogs that redirect on them on the walk when they try to correct them, it's when they're trying to correct unclear, naggy, stupid little things. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I mean, how you described it, I would be confused.
I mean, just look at it. Like, how on earth does your dog know the difference between, like, different types of looks? Right. Like, ask yourself as a human. You ever had... My wife has come up to me before and said, like, hey, like, why do you have that face? Like, you're so angry right now. Right? Like, I'm sure you've been fucking told that before.
Got that RBF. Huh?
Yeah, you got that resting bitch face, right? Like, is anybody on planet Earth actually aware when they're making resting bitch face?
I don't think so.
No. Abso-fucking-lutely not. But if somebody started punching me in the face every time I started getting a resting bitch face, at a certain point, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you better believe I would start getting combative back towards that person.
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know what it is. How do I avoid it then?
Right.
How do I avoid it then?
You don't know how.
So,
jeez,
this is the problem, and it's crazy. Like Tank, right? Like this was such a like. He needed a reset with things to get rid of some of the conflict, right? Like when he was with us. Mm-hmm. But the adjustments I've had the owner make since he's been home are so fucking simple.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up and do less, right? Like that's really it. Is like, do less. Stop trying to nag him. Enough with the leave it, right? Pairing with taps on the e-car, which that's a whole nother fucking thing, guys, is... You know, I kind of want to, I don't know, maybe I start going off today a little bit where I start talking a little bit of shit on Mr. Sean O'Shea because there's some posts he's made that have been just like fucking ridiculous lately as well, right? This is somebody that I really do have a decent amount of respect for in the dog industry from like some of the things he's created, concepts he's created, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, there are some things where it's like, bro, like, let's like level up a little bit here. Like you're saying the same thing that you said 14 years ago when I started, first started getting into this, or 13 years ago, whatever it may be. You're saying the same things still that are just like scientifically inaccurate.
Yeah.
Right? Like that have nothing to do with like force free versus like balance or anything like that. There are just some things you're saying that are just like flat out not correct. Right? Like that just like when you break them down, don't make any sense.
Right.
Right? So like, I mean, this has been it with Tank is like they go out on the walks and it's like, let him commit more to the mistake. Make sure before you go to punish his behavior, make sure he's aware that he's making a mistake before you go to punish it. Right. And this is it. I mean, it is that simple. It's just wait longer, let him commit more to the mistake, and he will be more receptive because he'll actually be clear what it's for. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. 100%.
So that's what this comment kind of sparked. Is like all of these fallacies in the dog training world where it's just like, we got to get this together, guys. We got to start being more clear of like, why am I saying some of the things I'm saying? Why am I saying that certain breeds just don't respond to corrections like other breeds? Right? Like, why am I saying things like correct the loading sequence? Like, but it never winds up actually working with half of these dogs, right? Like, why is Sean O'Shea saying things like, why I don't say no and instead I just correct with a command? That's like one of the ones. I bet you I could pull it up. Hold on, let me find it. I'm going off today.
Oh man, it's feeling spunky today. I like it.
O'Shea, where are we at here?
These are like recent videos too.
What's that?
It's a recent video.
Yeah, hold on. Why can't I not even find... Oh, here we go. I forgot he changed... What I also need to know what the deal is with why is he called Michael O'Shea now? I forgot that he did that. Can somebody, and maybe one of my listeners, because I'm sure we have some crossover listeners, can answer this to me. He's Sean O'Shea, but why does his Facebook page why is it Michael O'Shea now? He changed that like a year ago, and I remember it's thrown me off ever since.
Maybe it's his middle name.
I don't know. But why would you change it from Sean to Michael?
I don't know.
Whatever. Okay.
Rebrand.
Let me see if I can find one here.
Michael O'Shea. Doesn't have the same ring to it.
No. Yeah, here we go. Why repeat commands when everyone says not to? I've talked about this a bunch. One of the commonly accepted rules in the training world is don't repeat commands. And while I agree that you shouldn't repeat empty commands without a corresponding consequence, like so many things in the training world, the nuance has been lost. People have just taken the information at a superficial level and now treat it as an unquestionable law. And so if folks aren't allowed to repeat commands, what are they supposed to do? Typically, they're taught to say no for any non-compliance, whether it's for active or static commands, which does make it simple, but does it make it better? No. You only have to experiment with this a bit to see the benefits from the adjustment. With an active command that hasn't been completed, try repeating the command with the correction. What you'll find is that the dog, 1, doesn't freeze, pause, hiccup from the no, And 2, they have the necessary information needed to complete the command rather than a no, which while not only adding a moment of stress and possible confusion, also doesn't convey any helpful information needed to solve the problem. Practice this, and you'll find any moments of non-compliance, distraction, or confusion in regards to performing a motion-oriented command are easily, effectively, efficiently, and fluidly resolved. And isn't less stress, less confusion, and more success what we're all looking for? Guys, there are so many problems with this fucking post.
Yeah, break that down.
There are so many problems with this. I'm gonna jump through this, and I'm just gonna point out as many as I can find. Right.
Okay.
Thing number 1, he is suggesting instead of saying no and correcting, you say the command incorrect. Right. Okay. Problem number 1. So what you're going to do is you are going to create a negative association with the command. Right. Mm-hmm. If I say sit tap, sit tap, sit tap, over time, sit becomes my negative marker.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning it is the same thing as if you say no tap, no tap,
right.
no tap. Right? It's the same thing. But then simultaneously, we're trying to make it a cue, meaning a cue to do something. So we train it as a cue to do something, but we're also training it as a punishment marker.
Right.
What, like, this is what I mean. Like that just is wrong. That's just wrong. Right? Like in the short term, when you do this the very, very first time, right? Sure, sit doesn't have that inherent value behind it. You say sit twice, you give a tap. It's like the dog isn't correlating them together, obviously. So sure, you might not see that when you say no, the dog flinches from like it being a punishment marker because that's what it's supposed to be, obviously. Mm-hmm. But here's the second problem with this. Like, hold on. You'll find 1, the dog doesn't freeze, pause, hiccup from the no. But the correction is the same thing. Like a condition punishment marker should, when you give that punishment marker, give the same response as if the dog got the punishment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like when you tap the e-collar, you're going to still have that same, what does he call it? Freeze, pause, hiccup.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not cued from a word.
Yeah.
So it's this, but it's the same thing.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense. Right? Thing number 2, right? This whole like hold on. Where is it? Yeah. Typically they're taught to say no for any non-compliance, whether it's for active or static commands. Okay. Commands are commands, guys. Mm-hmm. Right? Like active command, he means the dog is moving, right? A static command, meaning a dog is stationary. Okay, this is another big problem. We are looking at, what are our active commands, as Michael O'Shea would probably say, right? 1, probably the bed stay, moving to the bed, right? And 2, the recall, right? Those are the commands, right?
Okay.
The dog is moving to get into position generally, right? It's still a position. This creates so much confusion for people. And I've done a video entitled like why we don't, I think it's called like why heel is stupid or something like that, because we just use come for it, right? People associate the recall to just the dog moving towards us from afar. That is not what the recall is, right? The recall is still a static position. It is a position of them being next to us. Okay. Right? It's a position, guys. Mm-hmm. It's a position. It's not a motion. It's a position, right? Like, because if it was just the motion, right? Like at a certain point, the dog is no longer doing the recall, right? So like, what would you do if my dog was all the way across the room, right? And I told him come, and they started moving towards me. As soon as they take one step towards me, they've done the motion towards me. They've done the recall. But that's not the case. Right? That's not okay, right? You walking 3 steps towards me isn't okay because it has nothing to do with the motion towards me. Yeah. All it has to do with is the position of being next to me.
That makes sense, yeah.
And we've got to be able to like connect that dot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's take a command like everybody, people have such a hard time wrapping their head around the difference between come and heel. Right? And people think you need 2 separate commands for come and heel, right? I've seen probably every trainer that uses heel do exactly what I'm going to describe right now, where they go, dog's all the way off in the distance, and they go, Fido, come, heel, right? The dog comes to them, then they say heel, right? Mm-hmm. What if the dog was all the way down there and I just said, Fido, heel? What would the dog hypothetically need to do to be successful?
They have to come back to you.
Come to me and then go into the heel position.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm suggesting is like the come command can serve that same like why do we need two separate commands?
Right.
Right? Like why do we even need a recall at that point if I have another position that is the dog being next to me?
Right. You don't need it.
What why is there a difference? Why is there a difference? Right?
It's just an extra step.
Bingo, right? Like, and the bed stay, that's another good one, right? Of like a static position of like, I could be right next to a bed and say bed and the dog should get on the bed, right? They're still statically moving towards it, but it takes them half a second to be successful. Or the dog can be all the way in the other side of the house. And I say bed. And what do they have to do? They have to recall all the way over and then get onto the bed, right? Yeah. So these are positions. It's not a static active, right? It is just their positions. There's nothing different, right? There's nothing different. So that's another thing that I have wrong with this, right? Let's see what else we got here. Practice this and you'll find any moments of non-compliance, distraction, or confusion in regards to performing a motion-oriented command are easily, effectively, efficiently, and fluidly resolved. And is it less stress, less confusion, and more success what we're all looking for? What you're suggesting doing, though, creates more confusion. We just talked about contingencies, right? It eliminates the contingencies, right? If sometimes when I say sit, it's paired with a correction. Sometimes I say sit, it's just a cue, right? Other times, I'm repeating it multiple times, stuff like that. Like that is an unpredictable expectation for the dog. And again, with most dogs, will this work? Sure. Of course, it'll work, right? But why is it working in that moment? It's not working because the dog is listening to the things that you're saying, right? It is working because you've created clear enough patterns that the dog is able to respond to the context of the situation and kind of guess ultimately what you want.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. That's the reason why it's working, not because your cues are more clear for the dog, right?
That makes sense.
Now, why would we say no in a situation, and why is it then okay to repeat the command then on the back end? This is where we got to have clear definitions for these things, right? No is a terminal marker, right? So what does a terminal marker mean? It means that when I say no, it's a punishment marker, but it terminates whatever we were working on. Gotcha. So I'm working a downstay with my dog over there, right? They break the downstay, and I say no and give punishment at that point, right? He's talking about this like blip of confusion or whatever, right? Like that's also kind of like he's approaching it with this expectation the dog should just fix themselves, which is not the case. When we're using a terminal marker, right? We've ended what we were just working on. It's like you screwed it up. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? Foul. Penalty.
Done.
Right? We take a break.
Yeah.
Right? So now what am I going to do? I'm going to try again. Right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to take my dog back to that spot. I'm going to put them back in a down. It doesn't matter if it's 2 seconds later or 4 minutes later, right? At that point, the next time I go to work it, the dog should understand how to then avoid the consequence moving forward by performing the behavior correctly, right? And by giving them the time where we're not rushing through it, we're not expecting initial, the dog fixing themselves or anything like that. You run more of a chance that the dog will be successful and be able to fix their behavior next time because they have a minute to think through what is it that I did wrong there? What is it I did wrong? Oh, okay, it was that.
Yeah.
All right. When we go to try it again, it's like, okay, let me try this time to do it without making that mistake so I avoid the correction. Right? Which will then create, hold on, effectively, efficiently, and fluidly resolved issues with less stress, less confusion, and more success. Use his own cues. So this is just one example of like certain things that I see him post that I'm just like, that's not really correct. That doesn't make sense. What you're saying scientifically doesn't make sense. And again, it's not even arguing using aversives or punishment or negative reinforcement or anything like that.
Right.
Right? It's just the way it is.
You said, this has just like kind of been his mindset for the last.
Well, I've seen him post that same thing about a gazillion times over the last 10 years, I feel like. So this is kind of what I mean. And then like some of the other things, like I think last time we had Dave on, he was like, he was like low key dropping some shit on like this other one that he talks about a lot, which he ironically just posted about recently, his reverse perception drill.
Reverse perception.
So anytime he gets fearful dog. Now this one, There is a time and a place for this one. There is a time and a place for this one. So this one I actually don't have as big of an issue with, right?
Okay.
But I still take a little bit of issue with it in the grand scheme of things, right? So his reverse perception drill is basically when he gets a dog that's fearful of him, he negatively reinforces with the e-collar the dog coming to him, right? So basically pressure turns on, pressure turns off when the dog gets next to you. Pressure turns on, pressure turns off when the dog gets next to you, right?
Yep.
And what he is suggesting is that by doing the by doing this drill of negatively reinforcing the dog coming to you, that you are changing their perception of Josh bad to Josh good because Josh is the safe spot, right?
Heard.
Here's why I do have issue with it, and here's why I don't have issue with it. So I'll steel man and straw man this, if you will. Right?
All right.
So the steel man for this is there are a lot of dogs that take some time to warm up to a new person, right? And if you are on a time crunch with a dog and I need to make some headway quickly, I can force the dog to overcome that initial fear of coming close to me by forcing it, by pressuring it, and ultimately they will realize that I'm not that scary. And actually, if I really steel man this is very similar to a lot of the stuff we talked about in the last episode with the pot cakes, where they were scared of traffic, they were scared of walking through tunnels, they were scared of going up and down stairs, things like that. And by forcing them through that situation, they realize nothing scary is actually happening.
Yeah.
Right? So I could steel man that one fairly good. I think that you put a little bit too much weight behind how you're doing it, I think is some of the problem, right? Like, I think if I straw manned this one, right? I think the straw man for this one is a couple things. One, most of the dogs that I might have to do that with, most of them are probably going to be in a board and train format, and I can just overcome that hurdle over a couple of days of like the dog actually just realizing I'm not that fucking scary,
right.
Which I think organically developing that, like if you have dogs that can organically overcome some of these hurdles, I think that sometimes they could retain that a little bit more, right? Because they don't have that initial negative association developed with it.
True.
Right? I think another straw man to this one would be the fact that I could achieve it probably with less conflict, right? So in many cases, he does it right away with the e-collar, right? Pressure, 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 pressure with the e-collar. I think in many cases with a lot of these dogs, I could just literally approach them and touch them, right? And I could achieve the same thing. Because really, like, what are we doing here, right? Like, we're trying to get the dog to realize that contact with this person isn't that big of a deal.
Right.
It's not as scary as you think it is, right? So with most of these dogs, I'll just go and just initiate the contact right away, achieving the same thing, but with no criteria on it, right? So the problem with doing it this way, the straw man for it, is you're creating an expectation, right? The expectation is you have to come, right? I'm putting you into a position right now, right? Meaning it's going to be a little harder for you to be successful. We're doing it the way that I'm suggesting in some of these cases from a contact standpoint with humans. There's no expectation. It's literally just, hey, when I come and pet you, like you can't try to bite me or freak out or those things aren't going to make me go away essentially, which will get you realizing that I'm not as scary as you might think that I am, right? We did this yesterday. Another one I wrote down, Woodford vet visit stuff. So there's this dog that Bridget worked with that is really fearful of men, and particularly in a vet context, right? It's really, really fearful. He's not like biting or anything, but he is absolutely trying to get away, right? Yep. And they had a vet visit recently with him that it did not go well, right? It was kind of a mess. The dog was just freaking out the whole time and nothing got done and stuff. Yeah. So we got him in for a follow-up session. I don't know this dog, so I'm the new person. I'm the vet, right? And we worked drills where from the beginning of the session, right, all I did was we put a muzzle on him, and I worked on, while the owner was sitting on a bench holding the leash, I approached him and I just put my hand on him, right? And the first like 3 times that I did this, he was like trying to like evade me at all costs, right? And until he finally realized the hand got on, he's like, and then you can see he just freezes. Right? It was like that. Yeah. He just froze, right? And each time I did it, he got looser and looser and looser and looser and looser. So we're still forcing this, right? I am still creating a prediction error,
for sure,
right? That is, you think something really bad's going to happen when somebody touches you. Somebody touches you, scary thing doesn't actually happen, right? And by the end of the session, as I was doing it, I was able to approach, examine, check them all out, pretend to do a little like needle shot in the back and stuff. His tail went from being completely tucked to out. By the very end of it, as I was approaching him, he was actually trying to approach me back because he was kind of liking the attention that he was getting, right? Yeah. And we changed his perception, right? Like, what is it? I forgot what's his thing that he says? The perception something. What is it called? What does he say?
I forget.
The post went away already. I can't see it.
Oh, it did?
Reverse perception. Yeah, reverse. Right? We reversed the perception, if you will.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We reversed the perception, but I think there's something to be said that we did it without using a ton of force. Because I think the problem is, if you have to do it with force, you got to do it. There are some dogs you have to do it with the force. Don't get me wrong, right? And we were still kind of forcing it, right? But like the dog didn't really need to do anything.
Yeah.
I think had we gone the route of, with some dogs, what we'll need to do, which is like they're just evading too much, right? And we have to stabilize them and like put them into a down first and correct if they don't do the down, then approach and do the contact. I think that you're going into it like, so if you're, all right, you got your spectrum, right? This is super happy dog. This is super fearful dog, right? Let's say the dog is starting here, right? And then, I could just do what I just suggested and move the dog up the needle here. I think if you need to force it and pressure it, what you're going to do is initially you're going to create a ton of conflict and you're going to go from here to here. And then you have that much more that you need to rebuild yourself back up from like a state of mind standpoint.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So that's my take.
I like it.
That's my take on that situation.
Yeah.
On the reverse perception. That's the steel man, straw man, if you will.
I like it.
So like I said, I don't have as big of an issue with that one. There are many a dog where I'll jump right into pressure and getting the dog to come to me right away. But I'll be honest, it's not to get the dog comfortable with me. I rarely need to do that to get the dog comfortable with me. It's just in many cases I need to get control over the dog.
Right.
Like it's about control. It's not about getting the dog to like me. Right. Yeah. I understand that in the moment isn't really going to get the dog to like me.
Right.
It'll just get the dog under control so that I could then work on getting the dog to like me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I guess my big problem with how he preaches the reverse perception thing is that it is an effective training technique for teaching, and especially with a fearful dog, if you need to teach like a recall really quickly, you can do it.
Yeah.
But he markets it as this is the reason why the dog starts to like me eventually.
Right.
I guess that's really my problem with it, and I think that's probably most other trainers' problem with it.
Yeah. I get it.
Bro, I'm parched right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going off.
Yeah, you went off today.
So, I don't know. There is a lot of fucking issues in the dog world, and like the further we get into things and the more time goes on and the more, I don't know, the longer you're in it, the more you kind of start seeing through bullshit. And like most of the time, I'm not really calling it out a whole lot, I will say. But there are a lot of things that I see that are just fucking nonsense. They're just nonsense. Mm-hmm. There's another one I saw. Let's keep fucking rolling here. Another one I saw, I think, today. I was going to do a whole episode on this topic, actually. So last time or the time before, we were talking shit on the e-collar technologies, fucking collaborating with every dog trainer on the face of the planet.
Indeed, right? You did.
So this one they posted today.
Good boy. Nice stress relief shake. Slight pressure for the direction we want him to go. I'm not saving him. I want him to learn to problem solve, think for himself. So that way when we do get to more problematic situations, he knows he can not only rely on me, but himself to think clearly through those situations. He's doing something good. Got it. Awesome. And notice I'm not giving a big reward. He doesn't need a big reward for that. He's just proud of himself. Hi, buddy. What's up, Mars?
Okay. let me go off again.
Okay, go ahead.
Guys, okay. So this video, you'll see in the video, I will describe it to everybody in case you're just listening to the audio. So in this video, we have a dog on, looks like maybe a 30-foot long line or so. We have a trainer holding the end of the long line at the end of it, right, sitting on the ground. And the dog clearly had gotten tangled around a post of a soccer net, right? So basically, if I could paint the picture for you, I'm sitting, long line is outstretched in front of me, 25 feet or so, and then it's wrapped around a post and then attached to the dog, right?
Okay.
So basically, in order for the dog to come to this individual, it has to turn around, get itself around the post, and then come to the person.
Okay.
Right? The dog is clearly in a high state of stress. His tail's tucked super far. He's obviously stress panting a lot, right? He looks pretty overwhelmed in the video, which whatever. Again, I'm not trying to say the dogs I work with always look fucking super happy and not stressed or anything like that.
Right.
But this individual is saying in the video, as you heard, that she wants this dog to learn how to problem solve and work through situations, right? And in the video, the dog, again, wrapped around the post, you could see is actively leaning into the pressure because it looks like he's trying to go to her, right? Yeah. The dog is additionally on a long line, which suggests to me that she probably had just been working a lot of recall drills with this dog, right? On a long line in a field, right?
Yeah.
Why do we generally do that? We do that so we can go out and we can work the come command, right? So probably what happened is while she was working the come command, right, at a certain point, this dog sniffed around this post. And listen, I could be pulling this out of my ass. I think I'm using pretty deductive reasoning, if you will, right, of what probably happened here.
Right.
Working recalls. The dog got wrapped around the post, right? And you've just been working recalls, so the dog thinks it should come to her. So it's actively trying to come to her, doing what a fucking recall is, right? Mm-hmm. And he can't because he's wrapped around the post. So she sat on the ground and was like, okay, well, you need to figure this out and do it yourself.
Right.
Right? So basically what you're saying is everything we just tried to get this dog to do, we now want him to do the opposite thing.
Yeah.
And turn around to go away from her and pay attention to the long line as opposed to the command itself. Right? I don't know, guys. I mean, you guys might have differing takes on this. Any time in my life that I've ever been in a field with a dog or in the facility on a long line where the dog does wrap themselves around a pole. Guys, we have a pole right in the middle of our facility. It's the most inconvenient pole in the world.
It is.
Because this shit used to happen all the time to us where the long line would wrap around it because the dog would go around it one time. One of two things would always happen. I would just drop the long line. That way the dog can perform the recall as it's intended to be and not have to pay attention to the leash at all, obviously.
Right.
Or I would just go fix it and I would just go put the long line around it myself. I never have needed to get a dog to work through and untangle themselves from it.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Let's look at the end goal here. What is the end goal of the training there? Is that the dog is off leash, right? Yeah. So what do I want the dog to focus on first and foremost above everything and anything else is just get to me as efficiently as you possibly can.
Right.
Right? So now, let's say that's the end goal with this trainer. Now, instead, what you're doing is you're saying, actually, I don't want you paying attention to me first and foremost. I want you always paying attention to the leash first and foremost, because you need to be paying attention to that leash and if it's getting tangled up on things, which takes away from the major goal here. It's an unnecessary criteria.
Very much.
Like, when will I ever need for my dog to learn how to unwrap their leash from a pole? Like, there's no circumstance where I actually would need that skill.
No.
Right? Because if the dog's on a short leash because it's a place where I need to have a leash on my dog, I'll just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Right? And if the dog is on a long line, right? One, my goal is get the dog off the long line as quick as possible, which I do that not by teaching the dog to negate their recall and untwist themselves. I do that by just fucking helping them.
Helping them, yeah.
Right? And then if the dog is off leash, that will never be a concern ever.
Ever.
Right? So that's my problem. And then the follow-up to it of the dog finally figured it out and did it. And then she was like, I'm not going to give a big reward here because there doesn't need to be a big reward. He's getting a reward of being really proud of himself. As the dog tail tucked is crawling towards you.
Yeah.
He doesn't look very proud.
He's not very proud of it. Yeah.
Like that absolutely would be a circumstance where if you wanted to reward your dog, it's a really hard, difficult hurdle that he had to face.
Right.
Probably just reward the dog. I don't know. Like,
give the man a treat. Jesus.
So I just look at that and I'm like, what the fuck? What is the purpose of that?
Right.
What is the purpose of that drill that you're doing with that dog? Right
Zero.
there? Like, this is where, back to the very first thing I said, as trainers, we need to start asking ourselves the question, why am I even doing this?
Right.
Like, I just want to know with that person, like, why are you focusing on this right now? Right. Why is this a hurdle the dog needs to overcome?
Right. It doesn't.
Why can't you just drop the leash and let him come to you?
Right.
Right? Because clearly he's leaning and he's trying to get to you, but he can't because he's restricted from the leash. Like,
yeah. I don't know. Is it an ego thing?
I don't even think, no, I don't think it's an ego thing. That's the thing. I don't think it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
I think it's, we're just not asking ourselves the question of, like, what's the purpose of me doing this right now?
Okay.
What is the purpose? Right? Yeah. I've had many moments of this over the last year with myself. Like, you know, I think we talked about it in one of the podcast episodes. I'm going through this renaissance with my training. If you
the renaissance.
Right? The renaissance. Yep, right? It's the golden era. Right? Like, there are things I've started looking at and I'm like, yeah, why am I focused on this? Why do I care that much about this right now?
Right.
Right? Like, and like, you know, like it's as I've done it, there's been things it doesn't fucking matter. I don't know. Like send home lessons. Tank's send home lesson that I did, right? Tank came to us exclusively for reactivity on the walk. He had no fucking issues anywhere else. Literally. There was not, I was like, I always said to them, like, any issues in the house you're having, any this, any that. They're like, no, it's literally just the fucking walk. Because they're correcting him poorly in the walk, as we already discussed here, right?
Yep.
In our send home lesson, we literally did, I'm not even exaggerating, the full 3-hour send home lesson was a walk. Maybe 15 minutes at the beginning, 15 minutes at the end where we chit-chatted a little bit. So 2.5 hours, all we did was walk around the neighborhood for 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because that's all that matters with this dog right now.
Right.
That's the only thing that matters with this dog. Why would I focus on anything else? Why would I focus on literally anything else right now?
Right. There's no reason.
But historically, I would have wasted an hour and a half teaching them how to do fucking bed stays and down stays and this and that in the house and like, you know, talked through putting them on a bed when people are coming over the house and this and that, which like maybe we'll get to those things later. I don't know. But like, had I been doing those things before and had I put myself in a position where I needed to create some conflict enforcing those things in the house, that would have taken away from this positive experience we had on the walk of the one thing that's really going to matter to them.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
With this dog in this video, right? You're focusing on spending all this time creating all this stress, getting the dog to untangle himself on a long line around a soccer post, as opposed to what really matters with this dog, that he has a really good recall.
Right.
And that drill you just did right there will do absolutely nothing to improve his recall.
Zero.
And if anything, it will potentially hurt your recall moving forward.
Right.
So why are we focusing on it?
Shouldn't be. Not thinking.
I don't know. That's what I got.
I like
need to drink some water. The back of my throat is like,
I can hear you. Like,
I can't breathe.
Cool.
So that's what I got for you guys. Let's just use our fucking noodles a little bit more, guys.
Yeah.
Let's use our noodles a little bit more and start asking ourselves the question of why are we doing some of the things we're doing? And let's make sure also we understand the slang terms we use. If you want to use them, use them. I said correction a bunch of times since we talked about that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what I was talking about when I said it. And if somebody had questions on it or it wasn't working, I would be able to dissect why it's not working.
Yeah.
It doesn't just not work.
No. That's great.
All right. Until next time, guys, enjoy. Have a good holiday.
Yes. Happy holidays.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.